How does passion, a great story, being fast, trusted, and aggressive contribute to success?
There can be no doubt. Leadership is what separates a place of work from a place to work. But what makes a good leader? Welcome to On Point, a thought-provoking podcast on leadership. It's for leaders. It's by leaders. Here are your hosts, Jim Livingston and John Nielsen.
So, John, very excited about today's show. We've got Walter Oude, the founder and CEO of Singlife, Deputy Chairman of Singlife Aviva. Walter's joined us to sort of talk about Singlife, their journey, his journey as leader, and to share some really practical advice on leadership. Hi, Walter. Thank you very much for your time. Really know you're busy, and you've bent over backwards to give us this time, so really do appreciate it.
Sure, great to be here, and thanks for inviting me to share my views.
And for those people who haven't heard of Singlife, could you just tell us a little bit about the organization?
Sure. So Singlife is a fully functional life insurance company based on digitalization and technology. We were founded in 2014 and got our licenses in 2017 as a fully licensed life insurance company in Singapore. And that was at that time we were the first new life insurance company to get an independent license in the last 40 years, and we've grown from strength to strength. We were built on the belief that the life insurance business, or the life insurance company industry, was lagging behind other industries in terms of technology and customer experience. And so we thought we could just build it better than what currently existed. And that's what we did. We built great tech, we built great products, we raised good capital, we had a phenomenal relationship with our regulator to build this digital life insurance company, which has grown from strength to strength over this time. And so that was where we started. We built a great customer experience and great technological engagement around insurance, and that's given us an impetus to get where we are. Now where we are with the Aviva Singlife story, we've now taken all of the best of our Singlife capabilities and marrying that with all of the best of the Aviva businesses. Now, the Aviva business has been exceptionally great at deep product capabilities, quality advice, and having already an existing customer base of over 1.5 million. We can take the technology side that Singlife does and marry it with the executional brilliance of what the Aviva business has, and bring this better together Aviva Singlife business to bear as we now see it.
Amazing story. So you obviously had a lot of success in your career. Can you share with us a little bit about your journey as a leader?
Yeah, so coming through the executive world, my background really was as I'm an actuary, I started out in South Africa, came to Singapore in 2000. I spent some time in Japan and in India, but then Singapore became my home full time in 2005. I've been through consulting businesses. I've been, reinsurers. I was working with HSBC as the CEO of their insurance business for some time. I was an executive of the bank on the bank exco, the asset management firm. And so, my own personal development was really just to say, actually, I got to a point in my life where I really wanted to be in control of my future destiny rather than, I wanted to own the bus, not drive the bus, if you know what I mean. I wanted to just be, do what I wanted to do and work with people that I wanted to work with. And that drove a passion around entrepreneurship and all that. So, but what the problem is that when you're a successful startup business, you eventually become the thing that you didn't want to, you went away from. Is successful startups become incumbents. It's just a story of how these things transpire. But, it's hard work and perseverance, and you can do all sorts of stuff.
And if you think back over that sort of transition from, getting on the bus, starting your own bus, what were some of the biggest challenges with making that transition?
Yeah, it's the entrepreneur startup-y world is a hard place because it's filled with absolute uncertainty. You don't have a regular checkbook, check or pay slip at the end of the month. You have to get by, and you're 100% accountable, or your results is only your efforts, and you've got nobody to rely on. And so that's incredibly hard, and definitely not for everybody. Some people love that kind of risk and thrill. Yeah. I am one of those people. I love the challenge. and some people really find it incredibly intimidating and difficult. So it's not for everyone, but for those that it's where the shoe fits, it's an incredibly fulfilling way to spend your time.
Yeah. So based on my research here, what has been the most significant change in your role since you moved from a CEO to a deputy chairman? Because that's what I saw in the internet.
Yeah, so as the CEO of the Singlife business, the Singlife business was is a fully functional life insurance business, but obviously the Aviva Singlife story together is a much bigger animal. Where we combine these businesses, the decision was that Nishit, the CEO of the Aviva business, is a well pedigreed, stable CEO, having delivered excellent results, and he had all the pedigree needed to lead the combined businesses. But obviously that's a Singapore focused delivery. My job now as the deputy chairman is to look at all the things that can happen in the future. So regional development, some investments in other tech, some PR, those kinds of things that you're doing in the internationalization of our business. Which is not really the day-to-day stuff of the executional CEO. It's just a little bit more inspirational. Obviously, in my history in building the Singlife business, my job is to advise the CEO going forward in everything where he seeks my counsel. Because my particular skill set is all around engagement, entrepreneurialism, innovation, which is slightly different from the day-to-day, grinding of the profit-making business, which is the ordinary course. So it's quite a neat dynamic where we can get people to focus where their skills are at, and find complementary ways for the team to get the most out of our combined business.
As you sort of move higher up that sort of hierarchy, so to speak, how do you still stay connected to the business?
It's a personal thing. I mean, I'm one of those guys that loves to be in the absolute weeds. I think if you're a startup-y guy, your makeup is you feel so responsible for everything. And actually, the hard thing for me is actually to let it go, and let other people who are more able to be in there know it. And so you get, in my case, I've kind of got this neat balance where I let all the guys do all the stuff that they got to do. They all know exactly what they got to do, but we've got the kind of tech and infrastructure where I can see visibly everything that's going on in the organization at any point in time. All of our communications, Slack messaging, Confluence pages around how we deliver, architect, deal with issues. It's all available for the entire organization to see, so that we can all chip in or otherwise whenever we do. And so, because I'm interested in where the business is going constantly and where the challenges are, I stick my nose in, but I don't interfere with the decision making of what needs to happen. The guys need to do what they got to do, but they also kind of like to have the fact that I'm involved and interested and have a point of view on stuff, and I'll just throw my point of view into the mix from time to time when I think it's warranted, and when I'll just stay silent when I think it's all completely going in the right track. But there's no kind of hierarchical decision making process. The machine just works because you've got great people that execute. Yeah.
So if I would be one of the employees in your organization, having access to all of this, and I would ask you the question, what advice would you give me if I would like to step up to a CXO role at the first time? What kind of advice would you give me as one of your employees and say, that is my next step, CXO?
So the great thing about having an open architecture environment on delivery is that the visibility of work is evident. Yeah. So it's impossible to, a lot of people work from home, and just because they work from home, they can go shopping instead of being in the office. So if you're on Teams and working in a digital environment and you're using some of the digital tools, it's impossible to not contribute, or if you are going to not contribute, it's very visible to everybody else. And what happens then is that when you're empowering everybody to do stuff, talent just automatically rises up because it's visible, right? If you're doing a great job, it's visible to everybody else. And so this whole idea that people need to physically do something to advance their career is erroneous. There's nothing you need to do to advance your career other than your job, right? Because if you do your job well and you're communicating with your teams properly and you're able to influence and direct and talk about your, add value to the process, automatically leadership will emerge. It's like if you have a, Lord of the Flies, right? A couple of guys will stand up and take leadership roles because they are suited to those roles, right? And so it's not about saying somebody needs to be developed or geared or channeled as a leader. You either, in my view, have leadership capabilities or you don't. And if you have the leadership capabilities, they will just shine or become evident the harder you work. And the harder you work, the more people see that, and you'll just naturally be seen. Yeah. And that's how it's worked in Singlife. We've had guys come in our organization, as tech engineers or just UX guys that and I remember UX guys that just said, "Oh, my job is to do a Figma, move some stuff on a page." And there's guys that say, "Well, actually, no, that doesn't make any common sense at all. Let's just rethink this." And then he kind of goes to the tech guys and says, "Oh, well, you guys don't get this. I'm trying to do this." And then he kind of this natural guy who came in over here, he just kind of found his way up through the organization just because he took ownership, which was fantastic.
So it's an interesting, I love this concept that you're muting about, the idea that the organization and what values the organization has and the culture and the way your organization works automatically rises people. One of the things that we see quite a lot with people, particularly when they're put into leadership roles for the first time, is they really struggle with changing that mindset from being an individual contributor to being a people manager.
Yeah.
As an individual contributor, you're constantly focused on yourself. But as a people manager, it's not just about you, it's about everyone else.
Oh, that's right. And well, there's also a difference between people managing and project managing, right? And there are two different things. So people managing means, I'll approve your leave, yeah, and I'll check if you turn up for work every day. That's people managing. But project managing is how do you get people to work towards a common good? And the project managing is way, way, way more important than the people managing. Yeah, and the project managing is a natural talent. So I always get concerned when people say, we're putting a leader in a leadership role who's an individual contributor, and he gets up into a leadership role and he can't lead because he's so good as an individual contributor. The question then is, okay, well, should he continue to individually contribute and you just pay him more or reward him more for his individual contribution because that's what he's good at, or do you say to him, okay, well, or do you try and fix his leadership gaps? And my view is, as I said earlier, I think you either are a people leader or you're not. I don't think it's a skill that you can get better at it over time. I think you can, but if you're forced into a leadership role, it's a sink or swim thing, right? You either have to just do it and get on with it, and if not, then just be comfortable as an individual contributor. People are good or perform better when they're doing what they are comfortable doing, or they're working in a happy environment, or they're low stress, or they're able to deliver in accordance with their skill sets, right? And then when you put someone out of his skill set and ask them to take leadership functions which they're clearly not comfortable with, capable of, or whatever, then they're in the wrong job and we should do something else anyway. So yeah, a long story short, but if, there's no point in putting square pegs in round holes.
Exactly. No, this resonates a lot with me, and also the other point you made. If you do your job well and go in with full energy and passion because you love what you do, everything else comes automatically. The visibility and whatever might be next at CXO level. So, Singlife has become quite a success story, no doubt. What do you think has been the secret to its success?
Passion, passion and excitement and challenge and a view to change. We found that we started from a position of we had everything to gain and everything to lose, because you're coming from a startup kind of world where it's do or die, and there's no middle ground, there's no complacency. There was also this view that you've only got one chance to make a first impression. Yeah. So if you're going to make a first impression, go on a first date, build a brand, whatever, you do it to the maximum of what you have to do. You have to be on, full-time adrenaline pumping, engaged, delivery focus all the time because you have such a lot to prove. And what happened then for us was that resulted in us being able to attract talent who were of that kind of mindset. We had no problem ever finding good people because people who liked to deliver and good things. They were naturally attracted to come with us. We also had two. I always say in my kind of world, there's two ingredients to success in a startup kind of world. The first is a great story. You have to have something that people believe in, and in our case, we found that the Singlife product offering was incredibly valuable to customers. People were looking for better returns on their cash. People were looking for an easy way to execute their insurance. So the storytelling was great. But not only that, in the second side was that the momentum behind the storytelling was there. We were acquiring customers. The tech was getting better and better and better. And now with the Aviva Singlife story, and this all culminating into a much broader, bigger proposition, it's just a new chapter to deliver all those things, right? So the two ingredients for me was having a great story of going to market with that people believe in, and secondly, living up to that story in the momentum that you're building from a product and tech and everything else provision behind it.
What sort of values were sort of underpinning the organization as you built it? And how are those values sort of changing now with the acquisition of Aviva?
Yeah. So when we started on the Singlife side, we picked values which we thought would help us to deliver our end objectives. And we were very simple. There were three values, because I think anything more than three, you can't remember anyway. So three it was. Number one was fast. Yeah. Number two was trusted. Yeah. And number three was aggressive. So fast meant, you take the old adage, it's no longer big fish that eat small fish. It's fast fish that eat slow fish. Yeah. Fast means we run fast. You do first, and then you ask for permission afterwards. It's better to give us than you just go fast. Yeah. The third one really around aggressive is that we had to take a challenger persona in what we were trying to deliver, because our industry on the insurance side is so lethargic in general that we had to aggressively challenge the status quo. We had to be aggressively in acquiring customers. Now, different people view that in different ways. Aggressive doesn't mean pick fights. It does mean be more demanding about how close you sail to the wind, how you challenge the status quo. That's the aggressive side. And trusted is the thing that binds it all together. We've had a very flat organization structure. We've like I said, leadership rises through. You have to have a team that trusts in the greater good and in trusting where we're going, rather than creating silos or political mentality or stuff. This whole idea of trust across the organization had to flow through. So that was where we started. Now, whether those were the right values or not, it doesn't matter. But the important thing is that we created a culture around that, which drove the right kind of behaviors, which led to the success that we were able to achieve.
So you obviously had an amazing time, and you were leading the insurance business at HSBC, and then created Singlife, and now the deputy chairman of the new huge company. We like to provide our listeners with kind of 3 really practical golden nuggets. So kind of advice looking at your career in terms of how to scale your business, okay, and scale yourself. If you would provide our listeners with 3 golden nuggets, what would they be?
Yeah. I think that for me, the things I've always taken to heart is learn something new every day. Yeah. Challenge everything, because just because it's been done one way in the past doesn't mean that's the right way to go about it in the future. And number 3 is believe that human beings are fundamentally good at heart, that we all want the best outcome. And if I believe that you have the best intentions of the firm in place, and that you believe that I have the best intentions of the firm in place, and I trust that, and I think you're a good person, and I believe you're the best, then we will get along well, we will deliver great things together, and we will have a great relationship. So believe in the positivity of outcomes, and that everybody is in this for the common good, and the common good will emerge. That's worked for me.
And they're 3 really interesting things, because I love the fact that learning every day. I mean, it's one of the biggest challenges we have with people is, continue to learn, be hungry for learning, because it's such a valuable, such a powerful thing. What would you say is your sort of Singlife Aviva's sort of philosophy on people? And what sort of role do you play in sort of driving that philosophy?
Yeah, so these are things that we're figuring out, given that the new company is only just newly coming together. And then in any integration of a business, we have to solve some of these challenges. The great thing that we have on the combined Aviva Singlife business is that we have both got teams which are very, very aspirational, innovative, and hungry to perform. Both businesses have delivered against the odds over the past years. Both have been stellar performers on the growth cycle. So the cultures are not particularly far apart, right? So which eases the integration of what we've got to do. Obviously, there's every integration requires streamlining or making sure it works really neatly, and so you have to get through all of that. But at the end of it all, living these kinds of visions around being better than our former selves on a day-to-day basis is going to drive the new culture as it evolves. I think from a cultural perspective, Aviva had a culture and Singlife had a culture, and we will form something slightly new as things come to bear in the future. When we're all under one roof, and all the legal stuff is all done from schemes of transfer and all that, it'll be a new evolution. But as we've been saying constantly, it's we're better than the sum of the parts. We're better together, and the team is coming together really nicely.
And what role do you play in driving all that?
So, from a board perspective, we have nomination committees and remuneration stuff and all the boardy kind of stuff. But obviously, the kind of person I am is day to day involved with people and what their aspirations are, and how to think through stuff, and debate and challenge the day to day activities that have to get delivered on. Just be there for everybody and kind of nurture the thing to the best possible outcomes. That's the best I can do, at this stage of the game.
John.
So looking back at 2020, which was truly a unique year, what would you do as a leader again, and what would you do differently?
Yeah, we were very lucky through 2020 that our business was digitally enabled from the get-go. Yeah. Apologies, I've got a bit of noise in the background. But what would I have done differently? Not much, really. I think when you're 100% working to the best of what you think you can do, the only thing that changes the outcome is luck. Yeah. So I think we were very lucky through 2020 because the environment actually benefited our business. But what would I do differently? Pretty much nothing, because the outcome has been glorious. Yeah.
And on that note, that takes us to the end of our second episode. So big thank you to Walter for your time. Walter, if there was any sort of words of wisdom that you want to sort of leave with people as an imparting word, what would they be?
Drive fast and take chances. Pedal to the metal. Just give it, put in 100% of your effort, because if you're expecting an outcome, somebody else to do it, then you're not going to get the result you want. So just if you put in the work and put in the effort, and stop complaining, good things will happen. Simple as that.
Thank you very much for your time. Really do appreciate it. John, parting words.
No, Walter, thank you. There's so much to learn from that story, and I like how you bring it across. What resonates with me is the speed, take risk, and also be yourself and go in with full passion. Yeah, I love that. So thank you for sharing that, Walter. Really appreciate it.
No, super, guys. Apologies for the environment, a bit of a background noise, but otherwise, great to chat to you guys. Yeah.
So thank you very much for listening, everyone. Stay tuned to the next episode of On Point. We've got another great leader coming on the show.
You've been listening to On Point, a thought-provoking podcast for leaders by leaders. Want to keep up to date or come on the show? Please visit www.northpoint-training.com/onpoint.